There are days when everything feels too heavy. Days when the weight of life settles somewhere deep in your chest. Days when you don't want to talk about it. Days when you can't explain it. Days when you're not even sure what's wrong. You sit down, you go quiet, and before a single word leaves your lips, your dog is already there. Not because you called, not because it was time to eat, not because anything visible changed, but because something invisible did, and your dog felt it. This video is about that moment, about what is actually happening inside your dog when your mood shifts, about the remarkable things they notice when you're hurting, about the science, the psychology, and the something deeper that explains why dogs seem to know, sometimes before we even know ourselves, that we are not okay. By the end of this video, you will understand your dog's presence during your hardest moments in a completely different way, and you may never take their quiet comfort for granted again. The first thing they notice, your smell changes. Most people don't know this, but when you become sad, your body chemistry changes. Literally. When you experience emotional distress, your body releases a cocktail of stress hormones. Cortisol rises. Adrenaline shifts. Your sweat changes its chemical composition. Your breath changes. Even the way your skin smells changes. To a human nose, none of this is detectable. But your dog has approximately 300 million scent receptors in their nose. You have roughly 5 million. That is 60 times more powerful than yours. And the part of their brain dedicated entirely to processing smell is proportionally 40 times larger than the same region in your brain. Your dog does not just smell your perfume or your shampoo. They smell your emotional state. A landmark study from Queen's University Belfast confirmed that dogs can reliably identify the scent of human stress. They trained dogs to detect samples from people who had completed a stressful task. The dogs identified the stress scent with stunning accuracy, even on complete strangers they had never met before.
Now imagine what your dog, who has spent years memorizing every layer of your scent, can detect when your body chemistry shifts. The moment your sadness begins to rise chemically inside you, your dog already knows. Before your face shows it, before your voice changes, before a single tear appears, they have already smelled the shift, and they are already deciding how to respond. They hear things in your voice you don't even notice. Have you ever tried to sound okay when you weren't? Most of us have. We say, "I'm fine," in a voice we think sounds normal. We say, "Nothing's wrong," with what we believe is a steady tone. But dogs hear your voice differently than humans do. They are not listening to your words. They are listening to your acoustic signature. The pitch of your voice, the pace of your breathing, the subtle tremor underneath a sentence, the way your exhale sounds just slightly longer than usual. Research published in the journal Current Biology found that dogs have specific brain regions dedicated to processing human vocal emotions.
These regions light up differently depending on whether a voice carries positive or negative emotional content. In plain terms, your dog's brain is literally wired to detect emotional pain in your voice. They don't need to understand what you're saying. They hear what you're feeling. And the micro changes in your voice that you carefully try to hide from other people, your dog hears every single one of them. The slight crack in your throat, the breath held just a little too long, the quieter than usual tone, the sigh you tried to suppress. All of it registers. All of it means something to them. And all of it calls them toward you. They watch your body before you move. Your dog is always watching you. But when your mood shifts, the quality of their watching changes. It becomes more focused, more still, more deliberate. Because dogs are extraordinary readers of human body language. In fact, many researchers believe dogs read human body language better than any other species on Earth, including other humans.
They notice the way your shoulders drop slightly when you're carrying emotional weight, the way your steps become slower, the way you sit down differently when something is wrong, the way you hold your own arms, the way you stare at nothing, the way your hands go still. A study from the University of Helsinki used eye-tracking technology to observe exactly where dogs focus their gaze when looking at human faces. The results were remarkable. Dogs consistently focused on the eyes and the mouth, the two areas of the human face that carry the most emotional information. They are reading your emotional state from your facial expressions with a level of precision that rivals human ability. And what they see when you're sad changes everything about how they move toward you. They feel your energy before you realize it's shifted. This is the part that is harder to explain with science alone, but it is perhaps the most profound. Many dog owners describe the experience of their dog responding to their sadness before any physical signs appeared, before their face changed, before their voice changed, before they even fully consciously acknowledged to themselves that they were struggling. The dog was already there, already pressing close, already laying their head on a lap, already looking up with those soft, knowing eyes. How? Some researchers point to what is called emotional contagion, the ability of one being to absorb and mirror the emotional state of another. Humans experience this too. When someone near you yawns, you yawn. When someone near you laughs genuinely, you feel lighter. When you watch someone cry in a film, something moves inside your own chest. Dogs experience emotional contagion at a profound level. They are wired for it. A study published in Learning and Behavior found that dogs not only recognize human emotions, but actually catch them, their own physiological state shifting in response to their owner's emotional state. This means when your sadness rises, something rises in your dog too. They don't just observe your pain from a distance. They feel a version of it themselves. And that is what drives them toward you. Not training, not habit.
Not the expectation of reward. An internal emotional response to your emotional state. Your sadness moves them, literally. What they do with what they notice. So your dog has detected your sadness through scent, through sound, through sight, through emotional contagion. Now what? What does your dog actually do with all of that information? The answer depends on your dog. But research and thousands of owner accounts point to consistent patterns. Some dogs move closer. They close the physical distance between you and them, slowly and deliberately. They don't bound over excitedly. They approach with a softened energy, as if they sense that what you need right now is gentleness, not excitement. They press their body against yours. This is not accidental. Physical contact between dogs and humans triggers the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, in both species simultaneously. Oxytocin reduces cortisol.
It lowers heart rate. It decreases the physiological experience of stress. In other words, when your dog presses against you while you're sad, they are, on a biological level, medicating you, without a prescription, without a side effect, without being asked. Some dogs lick your face or your hands. This is also not random. Licking is one of the earliest forms of comfort dogs know. Mother dogs lick their puppies to soothe them. It is a deeply embedded, comforting behavior. When your dog licks your tears or your hands when you're crying, they are doing what feels most instinctively right to them. They are trying to make it better, in the only language they have. Some dogs bring you things, a toy, a sock, something they consider valuable. This is a dog's version of a gift, an offering, a way of saying, I want to help. I don't know what you need, but I'll give you what I have. Some dogs simply sit and wait and stay without doing anything in particular, just being present. And sometimes that is the most profound response of all. The dogs who knew before the tears came. There are stories, hundreds of them, that go beyond what behavioral science can fully explain. Dogs who woke their owners in the middle of the night and refused to settle until the owner called a friend, and in talking, realized they had been hiding a deep depression for months. Dogs who pressed against a person's chest during a panic attack no one knew was coming. Dogs who sat outside a room where someone was silently crying, making no sound at all, and refused to leave the door. How did they know? The science gives us partial answers: scent, sound, body language, emotional contagion. But the full picture may be something we don't yet have the instruments to measure. There is a concept in ethology, the study of animal behavior, called intersubjectivity, the shared emotional space between two beings. A kind of attunement so deep that the boundary between your emotional state and my emotional state begins to blur. Dogs who have lived closely with their humans for years may develop a form of this attunement that goes beyond anything we currently understand. They become exquisitely calibrated to you specifically. Not to humans in general, to you, your particular rhythms, your specific sounds, your unique emotional signature. And when something disrupts that signature, they feel the disruption as their own. What their response reveals about the bond. Here is something worth sitting with for a moment. Your dog didn't have to evolve this way. Sensitivity to human emotional states is not something every animal developed, but dogs did. Over thousands of years of living beside humans, something remarkable happened in the canine brain. The capacity to read human emotion became one of their most powerful survival tools. The dogs who could detect human moods, who could respond appropriately to human distress, were the ones who thrived in human communities. They were kept close, fed, protected, loved. And so, generation after generation, the dogs who were most attuned to human emotional life were the ones who survived, who reproduced, who passed their sensitivity on. The dog sitting beside you today is the product of thousands of years of evolution, specifically designed to understand you, to feel what you feel, to respond to your pain. You are not imagining the connection. It is real. It is ancient. It is written into their biology as surely as their heartbeat. What you owe them in return. And now, the part of the conversation that is rarely had. Your dog notices when you're sad. They feel it. They respond to it. They carry some of it with them. Research has shown that dogs living with chronically stressed or depressed owners show elevated cortisol levels themselves.
They absorb your emotional world, not just in the moment, but over time. This is not said to create guilt. It is said because it reveals something beautiful and sobering at the same time.
Your emotional world is your dog's emotional world. When you heal, they feel safer. When you find joy, they feel lighter. When you take care of yourself, you take care of them too. Your dog shows up for you every time, without fail, without exception, without ever deciding you're too much or too broken or too sad too often. They just keep showing up. And perhaps the deepest thing we can take from everything science and experience teaches us about how dogs respond to human sadness is this. We have in our homes a being who has made our emotional life their life's work, who has evolved specifically to notice us, to comfort us, to stay. And they deserve to know, through your presence, your attention, your gentleness, that their devotion is not taken for granted. The next time you're sad, the next time the heaviness comes,
And it will come, because you are human and life is heavy sometimes. Notice what happens. Notice when your dog gets up. Notice when they move toward you. Notice the quality of their attention, the softness of their approach, the way they settle beside you without needing you to explain anything. Let them. Don't push them away. Don't tell them you're fine. Just let them sit with you in it. Because in that moment, something extraordinary is happening. Another living being, one who has spent their entire life learning the language of your emotions, has read something in your scent, your voice, your posture, your energy, and decided that being beside you matters more than anything else they could be doing. That is not nothing.
That is one of the purest forms of love available to a human being. Quiet, unasked for, unconditional, present. And when you're ready, when the weight lifts even slightly, look at them. Really look at them. Put your hand in their fur. Feel the warmth of them. And know that they felt you. They always feel you. Even on the days you feel invisible to everyone else. To your dog, you have never once been invisible. Not for a single moment. Not on a single day. And perhaps that is the most healing thing of all. To be felt so completely by someone who asks for nothing in return except to stay close and be allowed to love you. One quiet moment at a time.